This is absurd. I mean, you're going to have to see this with your own eyes to even believe it. The contrast between these two videos I'm about to show you, this is just a shock. Blows my mind. Let's watch these two videos and then talk about this whole Save Act thing. Holy mackerel. I don't know what to do other than to just show you. Okay, let's start here. Let's listen to this video, and then we're going to directly contrast that with another video. So here we go.
Somalia's electoral authorities have started issuing voter ID cards across Mogadishu as the capital prepares for its first direct municipal council elections in decades under a one-person, one-vote system. Printing at the Somali Independent Election Committee headquarters operates around the clock in 2 8-hour shifts, producing an estimated 30,000 to 40,000 cards daily. Each printer turns out 2,000 to 3,000 cards, and officials expect to finish printing for 7 districts this week. Distribution has begun in multiple districts including Hema Jajab, Waberi, Shangani, Hema Wayne, Bundia, Abdiaziz and Shibis, with nearly 1 million residents registered across Mogadishu and the wider Banadir region. In Waberi district, residents queued at 5 designated centres: the district office, Abu Hanifa, Raj Ugaz School, Muhammad Maya School and the 21st of October School, where election workers trained by the commission have been operating for several days to serve about 60,000 registered voters. Government figures and election officials have urged citizens to collect their cards and take part. Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre visited the electoral body's headquarters to encourage turnout and framed voting as a constitutional right. Commission Chairman Abdul Karim Ahmed Hassan also appealed for early participation to boost inclusivity and strengthen local governance.
Okay, so first of all, that's a shock. So Somalia, they're making people have voter ID cards. Somalia, that was in Mogadishu, get it? Somalia. Okay, we're talking third world country, Somalia. All right, let's cut to this next video. Show you what's going on in the United States. You ready for this one?
What do you say to Mike Lee's argument that the Senate rules allow the majority to require the minority to stage a talking filibuster to stop the SAVE Act?
We've got to get this done, and we've got to get it done very quickly. The SAVE Act is an abomination. It's Jim Crow 2.0 across the country. We are going to do everything we can to stop it.
What? What the heck did we just hear? So, yeah. Let me get this straight. Third world country, Somalia, makes people get a voter ID. They're printing them by the tens of thousands. But in the United States, the idea of having to show an ID to vote is Jim Crow 2.0. Really, Chuck Schumer. Okay, so I was reading the news story and it was talking about the percentage of people in the United States that are for the SAVE Act that think that you should show an ID to vote. It's like 83%. And then it was like, okay, 95% of Republicans and 70-something% of Democrats. And even like in the black community alone, you're talking 71%. But now contrast that with what you just heard Chuck Schumer say. So it's Jim Crow 2.0 if we force people to show an ID to vote. Wow. So what shocks me is this guy is Jewish, but he's being more racist than the Ku Klux Klan, because basically what I'm hearing him say is that black people are too stupid to have an ID and figure out where to go to vote. So he's not saying that it's Jim Crow 2.0 to make black people show an ID to buy liquor. We should go ahead and continue to require black people to show an ID at the liquor store. Or let's say you're going to the club. We want to go down to the club, get our groove on, get a drink on, go check out some booty popping, check out the hoes in the club, right? But you got to show an ID to get in the club. You got to show that ID to drink in the club, but that's not Jim Crow 2.0. Well, he doesn't have a problem with the fact that black people have to show an ID, a driver's license to drive a car, but we're too stupid to be able to have an ID to vote. Huh. Now, funny thing is, SNAP program recipients have to show a valid ID to be able to sign up for the SNAP program. If they don't have a driver's license, they have to have a state ID or something that validates the fact that they're, who they say they are, right? So that's not Jim Crow, but it's Jim Crow 2.0. I tell you what, here's the worst thing about it all. This is why this man, to be Jewish and to say something that heinous, is just blowing my freaking mind. You want to know what's really going on here? I'm going to tell you what's going on. Not a lot of people are talking about this. Buckle your seatbelts here. This is revelation right here. Here's what's going on. Chuck Schumer and anyone else like Shifty Schiff, he's seeing this stuff too. What they're banking on is the fact that they can scare black people into being against the SAVE Act by saying things that triggers the fears that come out of slavery. Yep, that's right. I said it. So he thinks that we're still so fearful of those days that all he's got to do is say Jim Crow 2.0, and we're supposed to say, oh, Lord, they's going to bring back Jim Crow on us. Oh, Lord, what we going to do? We better tell them not to pass that bill because we don't want to live under Jim Crow 2.0. Oh, no. You know who made a similar statement to that was equally as disgusting, even worse? You remember during the election? When was it? Was it the 2020 election? I don't know if it was 2020 election or before Joe Biden stepped out of the race for the 2024 election. Correct me in the comments on which one it was. But Joe Biden sat in front of a whole crowd of black people, and he said, you better vote for me because they gonna put y'all back in chains. And I was like, oh my God. Did he really just say that? Did he really just stand in front of a group of black people and say, they's gonna put y'all back in chains? As if we're supposed to say, oh Lord, they's gonna put us back in chains. We better vote for you, Joe Biden, because we sure enough don't want to be put back in chains. Rounded up, put back on the plantation again. Save us, big brother Joe. I couldn't believe it. Why don't people talk about that? I kind of wonder why. That's not really discussed too much in the black community. I mean, in a certain portion of the black community. There's about 30% of the black community that has stepped off the plantation and are independent of being controlled by a political party. There's probably 70% that are dyed-in-the-wool Democrats that are stuck with the Democrats, that are firmly planted in the ground, immovable, where they will only trust and listen to Democrats. You got some MAGA hat-wearing black folks out there that are standing firmly with the MAGA movement, right? And then you got a lot of people, a lot of FBAs that are sitting back like, we're not falling for any of your tricks. You're not brainwashing me into anything. Let's see what you're going to do when you get into office first. And what are the policies that you are proposing? And when are you going to do something for the black community like what you've done for the Asian community, the Native American community, passing anti-racist laws for the Chinese people, all these other little special things, or like what Kamala Harris did where she handed the $26.4 billion to the AAIP folks, Asian and Pacific Islanders, all those little special things, right? There's a lot of us that are just sitting back saying, show me the money, and I'm not jumping on your bandwagon and blindly trusting you just based on your empty promises. But what do you think about that? What do you think about Chuck Schumer's comments about the Jim Crow 2.0? Are you offended by that? Especially if you are an FBA. Let me know, black people, are you offended by that? And then for everyone else, do you think it was offensive that he would just assume that black people are supposed to be scared by that? I want to know. Post it in the comments. I'm waiting on you right now. I want to see what you have to say. Let's get an argument started.